Duties of bailee: take care of goods bailed. No unauthorized use of goods. No mixing of bailor's goods with his own. Return the goods. To return any extra profit accruing from goods bailed. Take reasonable care of the goods. Section 151 and 152. In all cases of bailment, the bailee is bound to take as much care of the goods bailed to him as a man of ordinary prudence would, under similar circumstances, take of his own goods of the same bulk, quality, and value as the goods bailed. Example: if X bails his ornaments to Y and Y keeps these ornaments in his own locker at his house along with his own ornaments, and if all the ornaments are lost, stolen in a riot, Y will not be responsible for the loss to X. If on the other hand X specifically instructs Y to keep them in a bank, but Y keeps them at his residence, then Y would be responsible for the loss caused on account of riot. Duty not to make unauthorized use. Section 153 and 154. As per Section 154, if the bailee makes any use of the goods bailed, which is not according to the conditions of the bailment, he is liable to make compensation to the bailor for any damage arising to the goods from or during such use of them. Example 1. A lends a horse to B for his own riding only. B allows C, a member of his family, to ride the horse. C rides with care, but the horse accidentally falls and is injured. B is liable to make compensation to afford the injury done to the horse. As per Section 153, a contract of bailment is voidable at the option of the bailor if the bailee does any act with regard to the goods bailed inconsistent with the conditions of the bailment. Example: A lets to B, for hire, a horse for his own riding. B drives the horse in his carriage. This is at the option of a termination of the bailment. Not to mix the goods. Section 155, 156 and 157. Bailee is not entitled to mix up the goods bailed with his own goods, except with the consent of the bailor. If he, with the consent of the bailor, mixes the goods bailed with his own goods, both the parties shall have an interest in proportion to their respective shares in the mixture thus produced. Sec. 155. If the bailee, without the consent of the bailor, mixes the goods bailed with his own goods and the goods can be separated or divided, the property in the goods remains in the parties respectively. Bailee is bound to bear the expenses of separation and division and any damage arising from the mixture. Sec. 156. Example: A bails 100 bales of cotton marked with a particular mark to be B, without A's consent, mixes the 100 bales with other bales of his own bearing a different mark. A is entitled to have his 100 bales returned, and B is bound to bear all the expenses incurred in the separation of the bales and any other incidental damage. If the bailee, without the consent of the bailor, mixes the goods of the bailor with his own goods in such a manner that it is impossible to separate the goods bailed from the other goods and to deliver them back, the bailor is entitled to compensation by the bailee for loss of the goods. Sec. 157. Example: A bails a barrel of Cape flour worth and 4,500 to B. B, without A's consent, mixes the flour with country flour of his own worth only and 2,500 a barrel. B must compensate A for the loss of his flour. Return the goods. Section 160 and 161. It is the duty of bailee to return or deliver according to the bailor's directions the goods bailed without demand as soon as the time for which they were bailed has expired or the purpose for which they were bailed has been accomplished. Section 160. If by the default of the bailee the goods are not returned, delivered, or tendered at the proper time, he is responsible to the bailor for any loss, destruction, or deterioration of the goods from that time. Section 161. Example: X delivered books to Y to be bound. Y promised to return the books within a reasonable time. X pressed for the return of the book, but Y failed to deliver them back even after the expiry of reasonable time. Subsequently, the books were burnt in an accidental fire at the premises of Y. In this case, Y was held liable for the loss, return, and accretion from the goods. Section 163. In the absence of any contract to the contrary, the bailee is bound to deliver to the bailor, or according to his directions, any increase or profit which may have accrued from the goods bailed. Example: A leaves a cow in the custody of B. The cow gives birth a calf. B is bound to deliver the calf as well as the cowtoy, not to set up adverse title. Bailee must not set up a title adverse to that of the bailor. He must hold the goods on behalf of and for the bailor. He cannot deny the title of the bailor.